Afternoon, YouTube, and welcome to a glorious day in Ohio. At least it's glorious to me, and I'm going to tell you why. You know why, because the heat.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream. So the temperatures on the porch here are approaching 90 something. Anyways, heat index today is in the 90s. Forgive me, I've got a bunch of junk in my hands. We're going to talk about all this junk. But yeah, the weather is just unbelievable. It's nice and humid out. And again, heat index is in the 90s today. Same tomorrow, it's going to be heat indexes in the mid 90s. I love this. I love this weather. We're going to work on this RV, and I've got a couple of things to show you. So let's open up this stuff, open up the RV so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, first thing I'm going to talk about is this drinking water container and the pump that's on top of it. I talked about this a little bit on another video, but basically this is a manual pump. When you pump this handle, it pressurizes the tank to some extent, and it causes it to force water up and out of the spout. We have absolutely no problem with this at all. This has been a great addition, and we're glad to have it. Now, so much so that we had our son buy one for his van. We're finding that drinking water, what we've done in the past, has worked okay for us, but we usually buy cases of bottled water. Now, first of all, again, I'm not one of these, recycling freaks or anything like that, and there's nothing wrong with those people at all. Good for them. They've got more discipline than I do. But all those plastic bottles and everything that's involved, and we're always drinking, and disposing of plastic bottles. A lot of times we'll refill those bottles now out of this container to save ourselves some money. Plus, all those plastic water cases, even though they seem cheap at the time, that can add up. Where we can fill this up for $1, maybe $1.25, and I'm more than happy to do that. And it's good spring water or good drinking water. So going to one of these containers, or we also have a square drinking water container that we'll carry along with us. It's nice to have, and unfortunately the worst part about it is what you see here. It takes up a little bit of a footprint on the floor. You have to secure it to make sure it don't move around, and you can see how tall it is, so it's not real easy to put underneath the cabinet. Now, our solution to that would be buying an electric pump that hooks to the top. It's real low profile. It's way too expensive also. But we did want to go to something other than a pump because maybe we're a little lazy. Maybe I'm a lot lazy. I don't know. But we did get into an electric pump, but it's not the type of electric pump you think it is. It's a battery powered, and it's really inexpensive. But I wanted to show you guys what it looked like. I'm going to put batteries in it for the first time. We're going to hook it up and see what it's like. And after that, I've got to do a vent install, and that's going to be a little bit more involved. And I'll also show you that too. But first, the water pump. If you guys want to see what the vent install is all about, you don't care about the whole water pump thing, just skip along, and I'll put maybe in the link down below where that starts so you don't have to go through all this. Hopefully this lighting is pretty good for you. I know it's pretty dark, but the way this one works is there's a line on here that you're not supposed to rotate past as far as when you're tightening it down, because you'll break things. So tightening it down is actually tightening it to the bottle, and going up with it would be bringing it to where it will disconnect from the bottle. Now you can see it's just a plastic tube that's in there, nothing real fancy. But whenever you get that other kit, which of course I'll put a link down below, this kit for this thing, they give you different lengths of tube in case you're using different types of bottles. Now I have to say that I don't know what this one is like trying to go onto one that's threaded. The way I understand, most of these don't work for the tops that are threaded on the bottles. Well, of course, this one's not threaded. This is kind of a more common one. So let me try to get this out of the way, try and get all the water out that I can. And this is the new one. Now, the nice thing about this is, if you noticed on that old one, let me grab it again without dripping too much. There's different segments going on here. And in the kit, there's a slip collar. You put this together for whatever bottle you're actually going to be using it on. In this case, I've got the two biggest pieces because that's what goes in this one. In this one, the new one, they have some sort of a slip collar situation. You can see here that the collar adjusts for the bottle. Now, whenever you do put this into the bottle, you want to keep this off the floor of the bottle about 1/4 of an inch, because you don't want to block the suction part of it. And then at that point, on here, again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but it says open and close. So, of course, right now it's open, so this thing moves up and down pretty freely. Once you get it in there, you get the height that you want, and then you turn it to the closed position. So, let me see if I can get to where it needs to be, which, you know what, that's almost all the way down. So, that works, and then it's locked. Now, there's one thing that keeps on coming up in the instructions over and over again. It said, if it leaks from the area in which the collar adjusts, that's considered normal. Now, that might be a downfall of this, and I haven't got to use it yet, so we're going to find out. Of course, I'll take this off, and I haven't put the batteries in. Hopefully these batteries are good. I might be pausing this and running to go get some new batteries, because these are old. And as far as the way they go in, yeah, looks like they go in that way. Got this bowl, that should work. And now I can tighten this down. See, it's on. So thank God. And the water's coming out. Wow, it's much quieter than I thought. Let's get you a little closer here. This is much quieter than I thought. And here, I'll partially push the button so you can see what it looks like. Hey, that's not bad. And then let me push the button and lock it on. Ready? Wow. Well, that's not near as loud as I thought it was going to be, because they keep on saying it's loud, it's loud. I like this. This isn't too bad. Now, as far as the height, pretty much the same height. Maybe even a little taller. So, still no storage underneath. And the reason you're probably thinking, oh, he's wasting all that water. Well, first of all, we're at home. We're not camping. And yes, we did pay for that drinking water. But it's not a big deal, because they say to run water through the pump. Probably for, rinsing reasons, for whatever manufacturing process it had to go through. So that's the pump. Again, the link will be down below for this one. I can't remember what I paid for it. I don't think it was very much. And the link will be below for this one. Again, this one don't require batteries. It's just a hand pump. And I believe I could probably get more water out of that tank faster with this than I could that one, because once you pump this about 4 times, this thing really starts flying. All right, enough of the pumps. Let's go look at the vent. Okay, so for you guys that tuned in for this vent, this is a vent line vent. It's not a hangs vent. And if you've got one that looks like this on an older RV, I'm going to replace this, and I'll tell you why. This door has been cracked forever. I mean, since we got it. The problem is now this door is doing something like this too. The flap is hanging down like that. Well, that don't work at all on any level. So I was thinking about just replacing this, but for the old style vents like this one, you got to remove the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is, if I've got to remove the whole thing, I might as well replace it, because it's old. It's starting to crack up here. Look at the hood starting to crack here. The vent guard, and it's cracking over here too. So not a big deal. You just need this butyl tape and a new vent. Now let me tell you about ordering new vents. I picked this up from Amazon. This is the way that you get it. No instructions, no screws, no nothing. When you're ordering the vent, it's really hard to find the one that you need. Basically, if your vent looks like this one, the openings are all about the same. They're 10 3/4, I think, by, I don't remember. I can't remember what the openings are exactly, like 5 or something like that. Or maybe it's 3 3/8. Whenever you're doing anything like this, just make sure that it looks like this one. Now, your other choice is how deep, what they call this, the collar. I'll put a description in the video here you can look at, and this comes right from Ventline's website. And they talk about a collar. I had no idea what the collar they were talking. This is what they're referring to as a collar. I think of it as a sleeve because it goes in something, but you can either get an 1 3/4 or a 5/8. Now, I got the bigger one because I didn't know what size mine was. And then if it's too big, I'll just cut it down to 5/8. However, you may want to get the one that fits by removing your old one, measuring it, and then ordering that. So let me go ahead and start with taking out the old one. I got to put my awning up first, and then we'll install this one. All right, guys, now that I got the awning out of the way, Robert's head screws, that's pretty common in almost all of these RVs. And the other thing is butyl tape. If you don't know what butyl tape is, just go to any RV dealer and just tell them, hey, I need some butyl tape, and they'll get you a roll. And there's going to be different choices. It's all up to you. Talk to them, ask them what they suggest for your project. But I'm going to remove all these screws, pull this vent out and find out how much I got to cut off, or if I've got the right one, and clean the area, and we'll put new tape on, which is just putty basically, and then reinstall it. Should be easy. That's what I always say. Who knows though. I got you hanging from the awning. I'll try to talk loud enough, and you guys are going to find out, just as I do, what length the collar is actually in here. This part here, you got to peel off, and sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy. Looks like I'm not having much issue here. Good. And I'm lucky, because this is the same length. This is 1 3/4, and it slips right in here, so I don't have to cut anything. And then inside you can see your vent, your hood vent for your stove. This is the dampener that's inside. Now, if you guys don't know, most hood vents have a latch that's up inside there to keep this closed also as you travel down the road. It's just a weird looking spring that's inside that you push over for travel. If you look up inside there, you'd be able to read, again, inside the RV, looking up inside the hood vent, there's some instructions on how this works. So now I'm going to peel all this off, try to clean it up as much as possible. Should have a plastic putty knife. I do have one somewhere, but in this case, I'm just dealing with what I got handy, because I'm getting bit up by sweat bees out here. This is crazy. There's so many sweat bees due to the rain and the heat these last few days, and definitely today. So I'm going to try to hurry up here. Now, another tip or trick that you might want to try whenever you're doing something like this, take a hammer if you can, if there's good support behind it, which there is. There's a piece of wood all the way around where these screws go in. But take a little hammer, a ball peen hammer. I'm going to do this myself, and just hit on these holes to flatten them back out again where they've pulled the aluminum when they got screwed in, because it's not it just helps. It just helps with the screws biting into the aluminum a little bit better, because the aluminum has been stretched all these years having that screw put through it. So we'll clean off the putty here. Looks like that's pretty much it. I could do a better job, but I'm okay with that. I'll get some chemical and go around this real quick to make it a little bit more white, and hammer this and line up the new one with the tape. Comparing the two, I don't know how much is going to be caught in the camera here. They're damn near identical. I mean, they really are. The holes look like they're even in the same place, which, yep, they're in the same place. So I went ahead and just put some putty around a hair in here and overlapped it so that we don't have any water getting in. So I'm going to go ahead and install this and put in all the new screws, and then cut off this excess putty. So all of these holes are pretty much lining up. I just got to kind of search for it a little bit, and I'm not over tightening any one. I'm just kind of getting them started, more for alignment than anything else. Then I'll go through and I'll retighten all of them to what I think is, snug, what's going to be pretty decent. I mean, there's not a lot of pressure needed here for this to work, so I'm not too concerned about it. But let me get the rest of these screws in, and then we'll trim the fat. We'll trim the all the putty off here, all the butyl tape. All the screws are tightened down. Let's go ahead and, again, I usually use a plastic putty knife. I don't know where it's at. We're just going to go with this one so my legs don't get bit completely off by these little sweat bees out here. I can get this taken care of. Now, if you have a big wad of this stuff left around, before you throw it away, just look around, see if there's anything that needs to be redone or any holes that need to be refilled, because it is new, it's fresh, it's going to last longer. You can roll it up like a snake, like you used to do with Play-Doh. Make a little snake and then put it on whatever you need to seal off. Like up here, it could probably get resealed, but I'm not going to do that. So that's it. We're all finished. Now my door opens the way that it used to, and more importantly, it closes and seals off like it used to.
That's it. You see how easy it was? It's not very difficult. The most difficult part's just identifying which one you have. Again, this one has an 1 3/4 inch collar. You seen the collar that slipped into? That's what they're referring to. And I've got, you know, a little diagram that I put earlier in the video. Feel free to go back to that and pause it so you can look. I also put a link to that same PDF down below in my description. And as far as the water pump, of course, the links will be in there for that too. So if you want to go check that out, it's not hard to do. It didn't take me very long, and I was getting bit by sweat bees the whole time. So you won't have that challenge added to your problems, I'm sure. As always, guys, I appreciate it, and hope to see you out there. Bye.